Inside opposition, we want to stick with the status quo in which ministers are directly chosen by the president for things that I do inside of opposition. Number one, I'm going to directly respond to proposition analysis regarding their two main points. Number two, to explain why the democratic election for a ministerial position only results into bad political discourse. Number three, fundamental discussion on why ministerial appointment through presidential choice does fulfill the democratic principle because the reason that I'm going to explain later. Number four, elaboration why democratic election for minister reduce efficiency in policymaking process. So number one on response, the first thing that proposition mentioned is that president doesn't have the knowledge on who to choose to fill what types of ministerial position, and president has malicious intent to only appease his own coalition through favoritism. Two response why this argument is invalid. Number one, for the exact same reason that Prop explained, president cares about re-election and does not want to be seen as bad leader when there are a lot of dissatisfaction, riot, and demonstration. So he probably still considers merit in his presidential appointment of ministerial choice. Number two, for the exact same reason that political parties care about electability of their members. The presidential coalition then, even if it has major influence in presidential calculus to decide only its own member that get to fill ministerial seats, political parties will advise individuals that have good qualification in their CV to become minister. Second response regarding trust and cooperation. This response is going to be integrated in my last argument. However, I will briefly level to these materials by 2 points. Number one, in proposition side, election does not have ability to convince everyone agreement. It means some of them still disagree because there is still going to be the losing side in every single election. Probably the types of disagreement, tension, anger of society still exist symmetrically in both sides of the house. Number two, the prerequisite of trust and cooperation is the ministers make the good policies that benefit everyone. There is still huge incentive of minister in opposition side of the house to make good policies that otherwise president is going to be firing them if they don't do their job well through ministerial reshuffling mechanism. So the second part of my speech is to elaborate the dynamics of political discourse within the campaign of ministerial candidate is one that is toxic and dominated by identity politics, unrealistic campaign promise, and populism. This analysis will directly negate government or propositions analysis regarding the capacity and interest society to research and learn on the platform of every single ministerial candidate. Two reasons why society doesn't have the interest and ability to meaningfully make an informed choice in this election. Actually, three reasons. Number one, notice that the ministerial election in proportion will not be designed in a way that is as simple as current executive and legislative election. For a presidential or gubernatorial election, society only need to pick one out of two or three choices. For senatorial DPR election, society only need to pick one or two out of 5 until 10 candidates per political parties per region. Meanwhile, for propositions ministerial election, there are currently 38 ministerial seats, and even if there are only 3 or 4 candidates per spot, and I'm being charitable here, there are up to 100 until 150 candidates that are running. How on earth society could learn, let alone comprehensively understand each individual platform of those hundreds of ministerial candidates, even if they have incentive to do so? Number two, because the candidate field is too large, the only way any ministerial candidate could have the slightest chance of getting elected is when they stand out. This political climate is not ideal because of three potential harms. Number one, political parties will choose candidates that are already famous and recognizable in public eyes. For example, celebrities and public figures that do not have the acumen or expertise to run the ministerial office. Instead, status quo in which majority of ministers are technocrats such as Nadiem Makarim, Tri Risma hari ini, Budi Gunadi, and Sandiaga Uno that have specialty in their respective subjects. Number two, the harm is the use of identity politics become more prevalent to gather media attention because it is more sexy to be spotlight when you do that as opposed to the technical details of policy development. This is harmful because identity politics rely on campaign rooted in religious narrative, ethnic supremacy, or sexism that is not only polarizing but also exclusionary to the political opportunities of minority individuals. Harms number 3 is populism and unrealistic campaign promise will be a popular tactic to be used to increase the likelihood of media recognition in large field of competitors. This is damaging to positive democratic discourse because instead of contesting on real actionable policy proposal, they use simplistic jargon and rhetoric, sometimes outright lying to the constituents to make themselves appear different than other candidates. The third reason as to why this is going to be bad, because even if society have the incentive to research and build a constructive discourse, only quote-unquote popular ministerial department such as economic affairs, ministry of religious affairs, or ministry of manpower that get most of the spotlight and discussion. Meanwhile, ministry that is perceived to be less important, for example, Ministry of Women and Child Protection or Ministries of Villages Development and Transmigration, that is perceived as to be more niche, will get less discussion from society. In opposition, president has a more helicopter view to completely decide the right person at the right spot, not only because of his political calculus, but also because he has advisors and political parties guiding him into making the most ideal discussion. The third thing on my speech is going to revolve around the issue of democratic principle. Why our side of the house is principally just. Number one, it's not like an opposition society doesn't have any democratic rights whatsoever to control the direction of governmental institution. In status quo society votes for president, and presidential privilege allows him to determine ministerial seats, and is this an extension of society mandate to the president to make president be allowed to choose ministers through informed democratic voters' consent? Number two, in democracy, the rights of society can be limited, especially when the issues are delicate and revolve around technocratic affairs, e.g., the decision of countries to go to war, military strategy, or the setting of interest rate is delegated indirectly through government and not directly taken by society. Therefore, the opposition stance is just an extension of that principle. Number three, in proposition, I would argue that in fact there are more violation of democratic principle because not all society cares about all 38 ministerial seats. However, when all of these seats are up to contest, either A, they were only voting for some ministerial seats in which democratic mandate is given to government only partially, or B, they vote for random candidates in ministerial seats that they don't give a damn, in which democratic mandate is transferred to the government without informed choices. My fourth and last argument will prove that ministerial democratic election has counterproductive effects to the government efficiency and desynchronized bureaucratic affairs, as well as disturbing potential collaboration between ministerial departments. Two reasons for this. Number one, at the point in which the government's cabinet or ministerial arrangement constitutes of representative of different political parties that come from different political coalition, which likely to occur in the proposition side of the house because it will be random. Ministry of Health coming from opposition coalition, meanwhile Ministry of Trade and Economy will come from the incumbents coalition. Each ministries will have their own vision and will not make an integrated policy framework. Number two, especially right now, we have multidimensional problems that we need to face. We need to have this collaboration that come from the same vision of a coalition. It cannot be done inside of governments of the house. For four reasons, we win.